Dust drifted lazily across the streets of Redstone as the sun beat down on the wooden buildings, drying everything it touched. It was the kind of afternoon where even the wind seemed tired, moving only enough to toss small swirls of sand across the ground. The townsfolk gathered near the center of town, murmuring in low tones as they stared at the strange sight on the auction block. A girl, frail, thin, her hands folded tightly in her lap, sat quietly, her pale eyes unfocused and searching for a light that would never come. Lily. That was the name someone whispered after recognizing her. She couldn't have been more than 16. Her hair, tangled and unbrushed, fell around her shoulders like a curtain hiding half her face. She didn't cry. She didn't plea. She simply sat with an eerie stillness, as if life had already taught her that protesting never made a difference. Behind her stood the couple who had brought her into town. Their clothes were worn, their expressions greedy, their impatience obvious as they repeatedly glanced at the passing crowd. A hand-painted sign hung loosely from a nail on the auction post, $1. No explanation. No shame. People walked by with their heads turned slightly, pretending not to look, but their eyes always drifted back to her. It wasn't every day that a blind girl was put up for sale like an unwanted possession. Some felt anger. Others pity. Most felt a strange, sinking guilt, because no one did anything. The sheriff stood at the far end of the street, pretending to look over some paperwork. He could see the scene clearly, but he didn't move. Folk said he avoided trouble unless trouble walked directly up to him. A blind girl, sold for $1, was not the kind of trouble he wanted. Lily lifted her face slightly when she heard approaching footsteps, her fingers curling into her skirt. But the footsteps passed by, fading into the distance. She swallowed hard, fighting the fear that rose like a knot in her throat. She didn't know where she would end up. She didn't know if anyone would buy her. She only knew that she had been brought here by people who saw her as a burden, a mouth they no longer wished to feed. Then the murmurs around the crowd quieted. A slow, steady rhythm of boots on dry ground filled the air. People shifted, parting almost instinctively as a tall figure walked through them with an unhurried certainty. A man dressed in a long, weather-beaten coat, hat tilted low to shade his eyes, moved toward the platform. Cole Hart. The silent cowboy. He was known throughout the county, though few ever heard him speak. Some said he'd taken a vow of silence. Others said life had carved the words out of him. Whatever the truth, his presence always carried weight, like a storm building before the first crack of thunder. Cole stopped in front of the platform, his shadow stretching across Lily's feet. She felt it before she understood someone was standing there. The air shifted, different from the cruel indifference she felt all morning. This presence felt steady, calm, strong. The guardian straightened, suddenly uneasy. The crowd watched, breath held, waiting to see what the silent cowboy would do. But Cole said nothing. Not yet. He simply looked at the blind girl, and something in his stillness made the whole town pause, sensing that whatever happened next would change more than just her fate. Cole didn't speak at first. He simply stood there, unmoving, as if studying the girl no one else cared to look at properly. Lily felt the weight of his silence before she felt the soft crunch of the dirt beneath his boots as he stepped closer. Her breath caught, not out of fear, but because something inside her sensed that this stranger was different from the others who had passed by without a word. The couple who had brought her in grew restless. The man cleared his throat loudly. Well? You here to buy or just stand there blocking the way? Cole's eyes flicked to him, slow, cold, and sharp enough to silence the man immediately. Without hurry, he reached into the inside pocket of his long coat. The crowd leaned forward, whispering. Was he really going to buy her? No one expected anyone to. The whole thing seemed cruel and pointless, like a show meant only to shame her. Then Cole raised a silver dollar between two fingers. The sunlight hit the coin, making it flash bright for a split second. The woman behind Lily gasped and snatched the coin the moment Cole's hand drew close enough. Sold, she croaked, eager to end the moment before the cowboy changed his mind. But Cole didn't look at her. His gaze was on Lily, whose hands trembled slightly as she tried to understand what was happening. The crowd shifted, some of them shamefaced, others curious, watching history rewrite itself in the dust-covered street. For the first time that day, Cole spoke. "Stand up." The words were low, rough from disuse, but steady. Lily froze. She turned her face toward the direction of the voice, uncertain. Her lips parted, but no sound came. She didn't know who he was. She didn't know if he was kind, or worse than the ones who sold her. Sensing her hesitation, Cole took one slow step forward. His hand reached out, stopping a few inches from hers. He didn't grab her. He didn't force her. He simply waited, offering his touch like a promise. After a few seconds, Lily lifted her shaking hand and placed it in his. The moment their skin met, her breath hitched. His hand was warm, surprisingly gentle for a man who looked carved from stone and silence. "You're coming with me," he said. A ripple of shock went through the crowd. No one spoke against him. Not even the sheriff, who finally stepped closer but only nodded stiffly, pretending he'd been supervising the transaction all along. The couple who sold her took a step back, clutching the silver dollar, eager to disappear. They knew better than to cross Cole Hart. Everyone did. Lily rose slowly to her feet, leaning on his steady hand to find her balance. Cole didn't pull her or rush her. He simply guided her down the steps of the platform, matching her pace, his grip firm and protective. As they walked away, whispers followed them like a trail of dust. Why'd he take her? What's he want with a blind girl? That cowboy's up to something. But Cole didn't look back. He led her down the road with calm certainty, every step sending a message the entire town understood: she was his responsibility now. And though Lily couldn't see the world around her, she felt the shift in the air, the safety in his touch, and a quiet strength beside her that felt like the first real hope she'd known in years. Whatever was waiting ahead, it was no longer darkness. Not as long as she held the silent cowboy's hand.